I am blown away at the number of technical features that this watch packs into its $565 price point. If you only saw the spec list for this watch, you would probably assume you were looking at a luxury watch, but this is not coming from a luxury brand, it's coming from the Swiss watch company. Let's check it out. Hey guys, welcome back to Just the Watch. My name's Dave. I live in Japan and I love to collect affordable watches. And one of the brands that I've gotten a chance to look at over and over again is the Swiss watch company. They're a great little micro brand that's based out of Nevada, and yet their watches are manufactured in Switzerland. It's a family-owned business, and in fact, I believe one of the sons of the owner actually lives in Switzerland, and he does a lot of the assembly and manufacture for them. They feature Swiss movements, and here they're now doing a pilot's watch. Now, pilot's watches often are a chance for a watch brand to kind of flex its technical muscles. You'll see things that focus on increasing legibility or anti-magnetism, and Swiss watch company has done all of that and much, much more. Now, there's a lot to like, even just looking at the basic features of this watch. It features a Sellita SW200 automatic movement, which is a great high-quality Swiss movement. It's very thin at only 10.8 millimeters, and yet it offers a full 100 meters of water resistance with a screw-down crown. And features like these are things that would pretty much justify that $565 price point from a lot of other brands. But on top of this good foundation, Swiss watch company went kind of crazy in building this watch out of a grade 5 titanium case with excellent brushing and polishing, and then with a hardening treatment on top of it. This watch features a mind-boggling list of technical features. It features a sapphire crystal that has 16 layers of anti-reflective coating, making it practically invisible. It features 22 layers of lume that is incredibly bright in the dark, and it's so thickly applied that it makes the markers look 3D in the daylight. And as if all that wasn't enough, they've also included a soft iron core inside the case to protect the movement from magnetism. And I don't know of any watch under $1,000 that has this list of specifications. Heck, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a watch at under $2,000 that has this list of specifications. So at $565, based on the specifications alone, this watch seems like a pretty incredible bargain. But it does have a few problems, and we're going to talk about those towards the end of this video. Now, I do need to let you guys know that in order to facilitate this review, SWC did give me this watch to keep. However, other than the watch itself, I did not receive any compensation, nor did SWC have any input into the content of this review. Now, we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the technical side of this watch, but before we do, I want to focus on the design for a little bit, because if the design isn't good, it doesn't matter how great all the technical features are going to be, you're probably not going to enjoy wearing the watch. So SWC has this one billed as their pilot's watch. Looking at the design and the size of it, I think this also would fit well into the field watch category. But whatever you classify this as, this is a very versatile watch because of the simple design. And when you combine this design with the specifications, you get a watch you can wear pretty much anywhere. It'll look fine in formal situations, casual situations, swimming or hiking, whatever you're going to do, this watch will be pretty much appropriate for any activity. Now, as a pilot's watch, I do see some similarities between the design of this watch and the IWC Mark 18. This is basically a Type A Flieger with your 12 Arabic numerals going around the dial with very legible sword-shaped hands. But it seems like SWC tried to shake things up a little bit here by adding a railroad track second or minute track going around the outside of the dial, and then going with a polished second hand instead of a white or lumed one. And while your classic Fliegers typically have a triangle at 12 o'clock, SWC went with just the number 12 like every other number on the dial. However, the 6 o'clock numeral has been replaced with a 6 o'clock date, which I really like. I think it's a very unobtrusive place to put it, and it gives you that functionality of being able to tell what date it is. I have the slate gray dial option, which is a sunburst, very dark kind of gunmetal gray, and the white markers and hands contrast very well from that, so you do get a really good level of legibility here. And that's true both in the daylight daylight and in the dark because, as always, SWC has done a pretty insane job when it comes to their application of lume. They've gone with 22 layers of lume on here, and we're going to talk about the after dark performance in a minute, but that 22 layers of lume actually has a very visible presence in the daylight as well. This is a printed dial, but the lume is piled so high on each one of those numbers that it gives it a real 3D effect. They almost look like applied markers, and those markers really stand out when you look at the watch from an angle. The dial design is so simple it almost borders on boring, but having that 3D effect I think really adds a lot to it. It looks cool, and it's also a visual reminder of the technical strengths of this watch. So I think SWC played it very safe on the design front here, and then just went crazy on the technical side of things. If you've been enjoying this review so far, make sure you hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, definitely invite you to do so. Finally, if you're interested in getting some watch-themed t-shirts like this one, you can pick them up on my website at justthewatch.com. Now, let's go ahead and jump over and start talking about the technical side of this watch, because that's where this thing really shines. Okay, one of my favorite technical things about this watch is that grade 5 titanium case with the hardening treatment and the level of finishing that they've been able to apply to it. Because this is a titanium cased watch, it is incredibly light, weighing in at only 56 grams. So this is very comfortable on the wrist, which is one of the reasons why people tend to like titanium watches. Now, if you go with the titanium watch, and if you're going with a lower grade titanium like grade 2, you're going to be really limited in the finishing options. It tends to have that kind of matte utilitarian gray dull look to it. But if you go up to grade 5 titanium, which is a different alloy, it allows you to polish it and brush it similar to how you would with stainless steel, but with the lightweight feel of titanium. Now, another challenge with titanium is that it tends to scratch or mark very easily, but SWC has remedied that by putting an excellent hardening treatment on this case as well, making it even harder than stainless steel. And they've really taken full advantage of the technical properties of this material and the hardening treatment with some really excellent finishing. The case features excellent and very fine brushwork going across the sides and top of the lugs, with bold, high-polished bevels going across the angles on the lugs, and then also a high-polished bezel. The case color is slightly darker than you would typically see on a stainless steel watch, but other than that, you would be hard-pressed to tell that this was titanium because of the excellent finishing here. The polished edges are done to a mirror-like shine, and it just looks really cool and really premium. And I think the idea of making this a pilot's watch makes that polished bezel a little bit more appropriate. You wouldn't think of a pilot's watch as something that you would be taking into areas where you would bang it up a lot. But even if you were, the hardening treatment seems to be doing an excellent job. I've had this watch for a couple of weeks and it hasn't picked up a single mark on it. It's holding up much better than a stainless steel watch would in these same circumstances. And when you jump inside that case, things continue to be impressive. For one, this watch features a soft iron core, which provides a good level of anti-magnetism, which should help that Swiss-made Sellita SW200 automatic movement continue to run well, even if you do get in contact with some magnetic fields, which is one of the most common challenges that automatic and mechanical watches face in the modern environment. The other technical features that SWC has included here target legibility, both in the daylight and in the dark. Going back to the release of their first watch, SWC has always made a name for themselves when it comes to lume, and that remains the case here. This is probably the brightest pilot's watch or field watch that I've ever tested, and that's especially impressive given that this watch does not feature applied markers, but rather printed numerals. It's just that they're printed really high with lume. This one ranks as a score of 14 on my J-score system. You know, most good dive watches will rank around a 10, so this is outperforming most dive watches that I've tested. And then to help with daylight legibility, SWC has included 16 layers of anti-reflective coating, which essentially makes the crystal invisible. This is one of the clearest crystals you're going to find on any watch from any brand. And typically you're not going to find this kind of anti-reflective coating on anything outside of a luxury watch. Omega is kind of famous for doing this on their watches, so to get a taste of this in a watch under $600 is pretty cool. Now, the process isn't without its drawbacks. In order to achieve this level of clarity, you have to apply anti-reflective coating both to the underside of the crystal and to the top side of the crystal. And having anti-reflective coating on top of the crystal does introduce a problem because it means that it can be scratched. which kind of negates the purpose of a sapphire crystal. But to improve the durability of the anti-reflective coating on top of the crystal, SWC went and put a layer of sapphire coating on top of the whole thing. That's going to make the whole crystal pretty durable, but it's not going to be as durable as a sapphire crystal without any coating on the top of it. The coatings on top of this crystal can and will scratch if you bang it around. But that's just the trade-off to get this level of clarity. All in all, the Hyper-G more than lives up to its name with all of these really crazy technical features that SWC is giving you. None of these features are breaking new ground. All of these features have been introduced on other watches, but mostly on watches that cost literally 10 times more than this one. So when it comes to watches in this price range, this is a pretty crazy breakthrough to be able to give you this level of technical performance at a watch this affordable. So there's a lot to like about this watch, but there are a couple of things that I didn't like about it. Let's jump into the cons. The biggest problem that I have with this watch is that the case seems like it's going to eat up straps. The holes for the spring bar are placed fairly close to the case, meaning that if you have even a medium thickness strap, it's going to rub against the underside of the case, and it does have a sharp edge there. Even on the strap that SWC included, I'm already seeing some markings on the top of the strap where it's rubbing up against the case. And it seems like in order to keep the cost down, the strap is not great. It's just kind of an average strap, and it is the kind of thing that I would normally probably lean towards swapping out, but I'm a little bit hesitant putting a nice strap on this watch for fear of it eating it up. And this might also be an issue when it comes to putting on seatbelt style NATO straps, as those tend to be kind of thick. This watch does look good on a NATO strap, but again, I probably would limit it more towards thinner NATO straps. The second problem is the logo. This has been an issue on all of the SWC watches that I have reviewed. I don't find their logo appealing. To me, it either looks unprofessional or kind of dated in a bad way. And to me, seeing it on the dial of the watch does detract from the overall look of the watch. Now, this is something that I tend to get over after wearing a watch from SWC for a while because of all of the other excellent things that I love about it. But it's kind of hard to get away from because they put the logo all over the place on this watch. It's on the dial, it's on the crown, it's on the case back twice, it's on the buckle, and it's also on the strap itself on the leather underside. And in reviewing SWC watches from the past, a lot of people have commented that the logo is an issue for them. It's one of the things that keeps them from buying the watch, which is why I keep bringing it up in these reviews. Now, the last thing that kind of bugs me about this watch is the choice of going with a polished second hand. I think they should have gone with a fully lume second hand, or at least a white one. The polished second hand really kind of disappears, especially against that dark gray dial. I suppose having a polished second hand kind of gives it a little bit more of a dressy look, but I just think a more high contrast second hand would have fit the theme of the watch better and just looked better overall. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for this watch. Overall, I really like it. I think that they have a great balance of keeping a clean, simple design, backing it up with some excellent technical specifications. The size is perfect. I love the 40mm case, and it wears great with that really thin profile and that titanium lightness. The design is a little bit on the tame side, but if you're looking for a simple watch that has excellent quality and specifications, this is a strong one to consider. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this watch down below. Always love to see what you have to say in the comments. That'll wrap it up from me for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.